Considering this was a very highly anticipated movie and it was pushed back for so long, you could say everyone waiting for it had the patience of a saint. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're talking about a brand new release, Saint Maud. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you were excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it, let me know so we can discuss. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps out the algorithm, it helps my channel out, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time, and let's talk about Saint Maud. This stars Morfyyd Clark as Maud, a reclusive young nurse whose impressionable demeanor causes her to pursue a pious path of Christian devotion after an obscure trauma. Now charged with the hospice care of Amanda, played by Jennifer Ehle, a retired dancer ravaged by cancer, Maud's fervent faith quickly inspires an obsessive conviction that she must save her ward's soul from eternal damnation, whatever the cost. It's finally here. After about 2 years of hype, Saint Maud has arrived. We were weeks away from getting this one when the pandemic first hit, then it got pushed back to July, then it got pulled from the schedule altogether, though it did get released in the UK in the fall, but then in January it was announced it would get a theatrical release in the US at the end of the month before hitting VOD this month. Well, specifically on Epix, which I was kind of surprised by, but oh well. So, this is the feature debut of Rose Glass, who wrote and directed the film, and it's distributed by one of my favorite companies for not just horror, but for independent film in general, A24. And truthfully, despite my anticipation, I actually didn't know what to expect walking into this one. I knew it was about Maud wanting to save this woman's soul, but the trailer did a great job of not giving much away. Even when it hit the UK in the fall and reviews started coming in, I stayed away from really looking anything up on this film, and I was glad I did that. The film ended up not being totally what I was thinking it might be. Based on the very little I read, I thought we might explore things like cults, and I thought maybe demons would get involved, but this turns out to be a much more personal film. It definitely gets into some pretty twisted territory, as the trailer suggested, but it's in the form of character-driven drama. This is all from Maud's point of view, and we're with her nearly every step of the way. And she is someone driven by obsession, but not obsession in this cartoonish, Fatal Attraction style way that we're used to seeing in so many other films, because she's a fairly recent convert to the Catholic faith, and she's someone who really wants to do right by others, but it's all through the lens of her religion. We find out early on she used to be a nurse who went by the name of Katie, and unfortunately she had someone die under her care, and now going by Maud, and still haunted by this incident, she believes she's on a mission from God.
We're on a mission from God
To save the souls of others, which eventually leads her to Amanda. Maud's narration is heard constantly throughout this movie, and I thought this was one of the best instances of narration in a film. This is someone with an extremely damaged psyche who has traumatizing flashbacks to her time as Katie, and she's constantly asking God for direction, thinking she has a special connection with him. And that's what we hear through Maud's voiceover. So I thought this was absolutely brilliant because it made complete and total sense, and it allows us to get so much insight into this character through exposition that doesn't feel forced in any way. And we see this stark contrast between the deeply religious Maud and Amanda, an atheist who contradicts everything Maud believes in. We see how she has a fling with a woman she meets online, which bothers Maud. She's surrounded by tons of material possessions, and because of stuff like that, even when she goes along with Maud's preachings, considering how she is through the rest of the movie, it's not quite sure at first if she's really buying into what Maud's saying. Now, I actually wasn't sure at first if I was going to be on board with Maud as a character, but I found her to be one of the most intriguing protagonists we've gotten in a film so far this year, because in her mind, she honestly thinks she's doing the right thing by trying to save people's souls, and she's not someone who initially tries to use any sort of extreme methods to accomplish her goals. Some may feel she reminds them of a younger version of the mom in Carrie, but I think Maud, when she interacts with others, plays her cards closer to her chest and isn't so over the top. And the film doesn't necessarily portray her as an outright villainous person like the way Carrie's mom was, especially because the film is also a look at her loneliness and how she struggles to find connection through her newfound religion. And even if you're someone who isn't religious, you could still want to be invested in her because that search for finding connection is something that people can relate to in general. But as the film goes on and we see her mental state deteriorate further and further, she becomes becomes unpredictable, and we don't know if we suddenly may see a big change in her, especially because she's such an outwardly timid character for the most part. Despite her inner thinking being more of a zealot, she's actually very quiet and seemingly collected when she interacts with anyone, though she also gets thrown off easily, as she can stumble her way through conversations, such as early on when she runs into someone who she knew as Katie, and they attempt to catch up with her and get closer to her. And even initially, as she attempts to get confrontational, she doesn't exactly have the greatest job of doing so. For example, when she tells the woman Amanda has a flame with, named Carol, played by Lily Frazier, to back away from Amanda because she thinks it's not the best for her, she loses the argument almost immediately. And as the film goes on and Maud starts slipping even more, she's constantly asking God for help and to make sense of everything, especially as she gets these traumatizing flashbacks of her old life that causes her to nearly freeze up in certain instances. She keeps asking for strength since she thinks she's fighting this battle, but we don't know how she's going to use that strength if she were to get it. It seems like she may be a ticking time bomb, but we don't know if she's going to do something she may regret. And Morfydd Clark does an excellent job as Maud here, in what's truly a mesmerizing performance. Even though the character gives off a mostly shy, quiet demeanor to everyone else, there's this intensity she exudes because of what we as the audience know about her, and Clark captures it perfectly through her subtle facial expressions here, and it made for an intriguing dynamic between her and Amanda, who tries getting her to loosen up a bit. And Jennifer Ehle also did a great job here, and I thought her chemistry with Clark was spot on. As a fun side note, Ehle was the star in a miniseries adaptation of Pride and Prejudice in 1995, while Morfydd Clark had a small supporting role in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I thought that was pretty cool. The film is exceptionally directed by Rose Glass, who perfectly captures the creepy atmosphere with some beautiful wide shots, and the score by Adam Zowski was phenomenal, with a low-key but still tense feel that will send chills up your spine. On a technical level alone, this movie flourishes, especially during some very quick cutaways as we go back to Maud's past, or we get more inside her head. And as the title may suggest, this film uses a lot of religious imagery to contextualize how Maud may perceive things. There's a scene, for example, what she feels is what she's being called to do, and you see her briefly with wings. There's another scene where she sees something she doesn't like, and she perceives it as a demon. And they're all very brief flashes, but they were incredibly effective at helping us understand Maud more. Also, no spoilers, but the very last shot in this movie was just perfect. The film's only 83 minutes, and Glass tries not to waste much time with it. Now, that being said, it does rely more on slow-burning suspense rather than loud, screaming moments or jump scares, and in general, it was really effective, though I'd say in the second act, there was a bit of a slight pacing issue. I mean, it wasn't totally boring, nor did it do anything that made me want to check out of the movie, but there were just a few small stretches here and there where maybe it could have gotten to the point just a bit quicker. But otherwise, this is a mostly engaging experience from start to finish. Rarely is there a movie that's hyped up so much or so eagerly anticipated, and it winds up living up to those expectations. But I'm happy to say that St. Maud is one of those movies. It is a phenomenal debut from Rose Glass, who does an excellent job capturing the eerie atmosphere of the small yet tense character drama. Even with Maud's extensive narration, she felt totally unpredictable, which made for a compelling and very intriguing protagonist, which also allows you to be hooked in nearly the entire time. This is a frightening experience that you won't want to miss, and I highly recommend checking it out. St. Maud gets an 8.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see St. Maud, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Was it worth the wait for you? Do you have a favorite A24 horror movie? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.